All right. Back. Excellent. Okay, a couple more.
Danny has that. I know you do. I got my first birthday.
All right. How did you get it?
Good one. It's you.
How did you get it?
I've known a couple for 20 years.
Okay.
They are relocating.
Okay, so Spear. And did you let them know you're in real estate?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. When did you start telling them that?
Oh, they knew the day I passed it.
Okay, great.
There you go.
So gradually, then suddenly.
Jenny, I'm gonna. You don't have a 42 touch program. Are you in regular contact with them?
Yes.
100%.
So she stayed in touch, and when the real estate need occurred in their life, they chose to work with Jenny. So that's part of the sauce, part of the recipe.
Liz Michael said she beat breast cancer treatments are over.
All right. So Liz. Beth.
I hear some people, some of them may be in this room or they may be on Zoom, have like bunches of listings coming up.
Cindy Church.
Speak up. Okay, raise your hand, speak up.
How many do you have, Angela? Angela and I have like 15 listings.
Wow.
Well, Cindy Church has 12. I know coming up.
Cindy Church 12 coming up.
Wow.
And I know you guys do. How many?
We're putting up 9 in April.
Okay.
We have another
you guys
5.
ready for 12. James, what about you?
No.
Well, you don't be shy.
I only have 3.
Yeah.
It's not 15, but yeah.
All right, we want to lead with listings, so good job, everybody. Okay, career visioning coming up. There's 2 different days, the 22nd in Lexington, the 23rd in Centerville, which is Greater Dayton. I know Tori's going to Dayton on the 23rd.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to
Happy
go
to
with
move
Tori?
our seats for any adult.
What is it? What is career visioning?
Yeah, career visioning is the KW program that helps with hiring. And if you're at a point in your career or your business where you really benefit from your next hire, whether that's your first one with the admin or buyer's agent, this is the curriculum that a lot of us have been through, and it's great content. So it would be for people who are looking to grow a team, I would say.
I would agree. Yeah, and they're condensing it into one day.
Yeah.
Just to really focus on the main things when it comes to hiring. And so even if, say, in the next year, you're looking to process it, like this is a course that you would want to take multiple times, just to learn on how to hire right rather than hiring multiple times.
Okay. Shred Day is tomorrow. Wendy.
Good day tomorrow. You do not need to be here. We could take a few more people on the 11 to 12 shift. Send us your people. It's a drive-through event. If you need a recent call them today. It is Shred. We are different from most other brokerages because we also offer recycled electronics. It is a rain or shine event, so if it's raining out there, say a prayer for us. We still can.
I have a question. I had a client text me this morning and asked for taking credit cards to pay for the fees, the items that require a fee.
I think it's cash only.
Check or cash. I'll double check for you, Lane.
And take advantage of this. This is an awesome event that the Market Center provides to all of you for free. Market Center, covers that, but it's a touch for you to get out to your clients and help them.
I'm sorry. If you do social media, do social media. If you do Facebook, create an event. Yes, it's tomorrow. Get over it. Just do it.
It's also a good way to find new clients because there's a lady that called this morning that found it just as she Googled a shred event. So obviously someone shared something or something.
Good job. Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be busy tomorrow, which is a good thing for sure.
Clean out your files.
Okay, Red Day is coming up May 14th. We're going to third phase in Noblesville. There is a committee meeting today.
Yes.
So if you want to participate in helping plan the event, that would be helpful. Val, you want to say anything?
Yeah, we have a huge list of projects. We're going to kind of divide into subcommittees, and that's where we're really going to have our volunteers sign up under those little subcommittees. So if you're interested in leading a subcommittee or just jumping in right at the beginning, join us at 12:30. We'll be in the Giver's Corner, the bigger room.
Okay, thank you. Summerfest is our summer office-wide event that we're putting on again to the benefit of your clients. So that's going to be at Beer Brewery Wednesday, June 24th. Todd's band, The Beatless, is going to play. So encourage you to start, lining up your VIP guests, your sphere that you would want to host. Again, it's kind of similar to what we did in the parking lot last year. It's matured into an offsite event, and Kim also works at Beer Brewery, so she's kind of the lead on that. And yeah, we'll have a great night that evening. Any questions?
What's the time frame on that? 5:30, 8:30, okay. So this is mine. So if you don't know, DocuSign is going away by July 14th. So come see me if you want to back up your files like Todd just did this morning. And I will be teaching Lone Wolf Transact. That's the new system that's coming out. In fact, you probably already received an email to sign up for your Lone Wolf Transact. And I will be teaching 3 classes in May. I'll be teaching in person and on Zoom, basically 3 Tuesdays in a row. And then I sent out a survey for those that had interest in learning more about AI and those tools. So I'll be doing a class in May about editing videos with Focus Clip. So just a heads up on that. Look out for the weekly email in the May calendar. And then we have Breakthrough 120 that is replacing Ignite. And the first session of Breakthrough 120 will take place May 4th through 8th. So if you know anybody that would like to participate in this, let me know. It is not just for new agents, it's for agents. Maybe you feel like you've hit a plateau or you're stuck. If this is different than Ignite, it's going to take it a little bit further with more accountability and more interaction during class. So if you would like, and yes, and there's no cost, obviously, just like Ignite.
But there is a commitment.
Correct.
Tori, you want to say anything about it?
Yeah. So it's the main part 1 is taking, just a week of classes going from database, listing appointments, social media, just lead follow-up. So that's going to be like your course aspect. And then there is going to be a level of accountability for the next 120 days where we will, have productivity huddles, we'll have, commitments to contacts and just engaging with our databases. So the goal being to have 9 signed agreements in 120 days. So I imagine a lot of people would be okay with getting 9 more signed agreements, and we'll look forward to doing that with you.
Yes.
So 1 class a day, and they start at 9 a.m. and they go till about lunchtime.
Yep. And again, this is from International. So this is the Keller Williams from the top down saying, hey, this is the course that we recommend. And again, the data shows that if you do the activities and you're held accountable and you give it your all, the expectation or the mean is 9 new deals.
I also want to add that our industry partners will be doing lunch learns after those classes as well.
Okay.
And I think maybe one more thing too, if you've ever thought about teaching or want to even say growing your own skills, we are going to be doing this every month. So we will need just a rotation of instructors. There is a very thorough facilitator guide in the video, so it's not something that you will just have to knock your way through. You'll have like a whole guide on how to do it. So
Yes.
And Tori will be doing the mindset moment in every class at the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be
All right.
awesome.
Wendy?
Just if you guys haven't heard, Cody Gibson is the one who was behind rewriting this. He has produced a number of millionaires. He runs 13 teams on an expansion and he produces millionaires. So if it works for his teams, I think it'll probably work for us. So why aren't you there?
All right.
And we have comment title?
Oh, yes. Hi, everyone. So next Wednesday is our open house. So we would love to see all of you come and join in the celebration of our new adventure with us. And then piggybacking off of Beth, talking about prelims, we would just encourage you to run preliminary title. Angela and Megan do a great job. Waypoint does a great job. Cindy Chirp also does a great job. Many of you do run it, but that can just help you identify any unsuspecting liens that we may find, like mechanics liens, HUD liens, things like that. So you're more prepared for your listing. It can help your seller find their bottom line. And then we would just encourage you to put that in the agent to agent remarks on the BLC so that you can kind of direct title to submit. All right. Thank you guys.
Yeah, so next Wednesday is our official office happy hour that we're combining with the Summit Open House. So hope to see many of you there. Okay, our lunch sponsor is Window Consultants of Indiana. We've got Brett here, and I would like to give a personal endorsement. We have the Doug Fredbeck Gold Star sponsor level, and this is a very prestigious category. And I'd like to say that Brett and his company, Window Consultants of Indiana, have reached that status. That means that I have one person that I go to. I know I can count on him. He's going to give me an estimate when I need it and provide solutions to what typically is kind of a pain point potentially in regards to an inspection report, windows. You kind of grumble, but honestly, we have what we need from him. So, Brett, take it away.
Thanks, Doug. So we also covered our relationship with you guys very, very much. We have been doing business with you for a number of years now. If you look to the left or right of you, you'll probably talk to someone that has worked with us before. Although I go down the wall of the hall of shame, I guess, and all the agents on there. Yeah, realize there's a lot that we haven't worked with. So we would welcome your business. I have 3 minutes, so I have to take some notes. So we have some things that make us unique. We own the entire process. So we have our own mill. So we mill replacement parts and pieces for windows. We repair glass. So we do glass replacement. We guarantee the lowest glass replacement cost with a 10-year warranty than anybody else out there. So if you get a quote and you by chance have something less, we'll beat the price. Doubtful that you would. The other thing is that we understand real estate. Years and years ago, I used to be a real estate broker. And so I understand the things that you guys go through, even though back then we didn't do half of what you guys do nowadays. I mean, you earn every penny that you get. But we understand that the time is of the essence. So we're very quick to get on your calls to make sure that we get to your appointments. We highly respect your clients. We will go to the next level, and even if, let's say that you're representing the buyers and the sellers have met us and don't really like the fact that they're having to put more money into their house, we'll meet with them and talk to them about the options and why this is the most cost-effective option. Because we have that ability. We have that ability to repair the windows. We have the ability to just replace the hardware. We have the ability to improve the operation without doing any kind of replacements. Or we can replace the windows if we need to. We also do doors as well. So we can do adjustments on doors. We can rework doors. We can do all that kind of stuff as well. So we handle all aspects of it. That's really about all I have. I just want to make sure that, like I said, if you're using somebody else, which there's nobody else out there, but if you're using somebody else, give us a try. I think you'll see there's a huge difference in our professionalism and our turnaround and just the way that we treat the clients and treat you guys. All right.
Good. Excellent. He has, unlike the thermal seal, he's never failed me. Just thought it was here. And he brought Qdoba today. So we have Qdoba in the kitchen. We'll eat immediately after the meeting. Steve's not here. I'll just give a shout out to Steve. Again, he is our preferred home warranty partner. And I always am an advocate. If you weren't able to get seller coverage on a listing, you could incorporate that again as part of your inspection negotiation process. It can be a win for either side to kind of move you closer to a resolution. So keep that in mind. Mark?
And Brett, you helped me out a few years ago, and one thing you did not mention is the attention to detail. You guys did a great job. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right, Mark Kuchik, Rhonda Kuchik with Cross Country Mortgage. I've mentioned this a few times. We've got a few events. Rhonda's going to talk about one. I'm going to talk about a few. Home sales are down. Last 3 years, we've been flat. I stay on the red. Home sales have been down the last 3 years. Historically, we sell about 1 million to 1.5 million more homes than we've seen the last 3 years. And ours came out with the statistics, 70% of realtors did not sell last year, sell a home last year. And I know some people debate, well, they're on teams and this and that. The fact is, I've asked a few broker owners, and that number is pretty close to their office. Okay, so it's real, even locally. Okay, what I found is that a lot of people are not adapting. 7 out of 10 realtors did not adapt last year. So 12% of your database will in fact move this year. That's a statistic that you'll hear everywhere, right? So those are the people that raised their hand and said, yes, I want to move. And that's the pond that everybody's running to. Realtors are fishing in the same pond, that 12%. What about the 88% who are not raised their hand? Okay. Side note from that is I've asked many people, are you living in your ideal home? I've asked realtors, I've asked clients. 1 out of 10 say yes. So 9 out of 10 are not living in their ideal home. So when you're talking about the 88% of people who have not raised their hand yet, the majority of them are not living in their ideal home. So how do you get to fish in that pond? Well, we came up with a dream home calculator that elicits 4 questions that will evoke emotion from your database. So it's a database call. And we back it up with logic so they can see how they can leverage their equity and achieve their dream home without costing them anything outside of their comfort zone. Okay, so we got 2 classes next week, the 23rd. My Dream Home Calculator. I'm going to do a class here in Kimber's room, I believe, at 11 a.m. And then Just List, Just Sell, Just Win is going to be a little more detailed. It's going to include my Dream Home Calculator, but a few other things. We're going to do that at Edinburgh Lowe's on the 29th at 11 a.m. as well. I would love for you guys to sign up for that. Ron is going to talk about another.
Yeah, so I was looking over here, you guys, we do have a QR code for the Dream Home Calculator that's gonna be in Kimber's Corner. So make sure you sign up for that, make sure we have enough room, because I do think there's gonna be demand for that. Similarly, the following week at Cooper's Hawk on the 29th, it is in a room that only accommodates maybe 25, 27 agents, and we haven't even published it yet. We already have 7 signups. So like this is a hot topic and it really will help you. It's a very unique tool. So in addition to that, we are fans of EPCON for a number of reasons. I love their product. They have fabulous representatives, counselors who work there. Mark and I actually just purchased a home in Cielo Ranch, which is one of their newest communities. Super excited about that. And I sat through a realtor presentation with Elizabeth Walton, who works at Cielo Ranch, last week. I learned so much that I didn't even know, and I have already signed the contract. So what I want to do is get some small groups and go over there and sit through some of these presentations, because you guys, you need to know this product. And you might think you know it because you've done something with them, or you know about Del Webb or Lennar. You need to know this product, because you guys, there are so many people, this is a demand, right? To right size and move into this. And they've got now walkout basements and double owner suite products. Like they've got a lot. So this Friday, we can take 2 teams over mid-morning or lunchtime. So let us know if you've got time on Friday. And then we're going to do it again May 1st. And then we'll do it after that as well. I've already talked with Wendy. Later in May, we'll get a group going. But we just want to have some intimate conversations with Elizabeth so you guys can really understand that product. All righty?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Before I introduce Merrill Property Group, I just want to look ahead to May, and we just decided that we're going to do a market mastermind on May 6th. So if you come to the meeting, which I encourage all of you to do, we're kind of just going to break up into small groups, and depending on who's here, we'll have some conversation prompts. But if you're a veteran agent, you may be asked to kind of just facilitate a small group conversation among the table, and then we'll kind of come back together and share our ahas and solutions on what folks may be facing out there in the market. And then on the 20th, we're going to have someone come and speak from my board. It's the technology outreach coordinator, Portia. So she's going to be here as a resource for my board. And if you haven't paid your dues, you're probably rudely awakened that your account has been suspended. So we encourage you to pay that because then we have to track you down on that. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jeff Norris, who's going to moderate today's commercial real estate panel as a part of the Merrill Property Group. Take it away.
All right, thanks so much. Thank you, first of all, for having us here. This is great. We love the space, Beth. I know you had many people involved in it, but it turned out spectacular. I love the family room concept. Very modern.
Thanks to all of you for helping.
Yeah, very modern approach to the new office space. So, right. Hopefully you like it. Anyways, a little bit about myself. I've been in the industry a lot of years. My specialty, even though we all dabble in different elements of what we're going to talk about today, land, tenant representation, landlord listing, and what did I miss? Investment. Thank you, Matt. Our newest member, Matt, is about investment sales. My background is more corporate real estate. So 18 years doing real estate for companies, which encompasses all different kinds of stuff, from facility management, project management, real estate portfolio management. So my background is not as important as the ones that are going to present to you today. So with that, I will start with you, Haley, and let you do a brief introduction. We'll get going.
Great. My name is Haley Kopetsky. I've been in real estate for just over 11 years. I started in residential and I've now transitioned to commercial. I've been in commercial for about a year and a half. I enjoy every aspect of the entire business. My main passion is helping people, making sure that their dreams come true and they're confident and comfortable asking me any questions. So.
Great.
I'm Josie Levy. I specialize in retail, office, and industrial. I actually worked in leasing and property management for years, which is why I ended up getting licensed in 2020 and also decided to become a licensed foster parent in 2020. So that year was the year of big decisions, I guess. And I was looking for a career route that would have some flexibility, which I'm finding myself working lot. So really, but I love what I do. But to be able to foster and so ended up in meeting someone in commercial real estate and hit it off and really loved it and took over her leasing and I now do leasing and sales and work with tenants and landlords and then buyers and sellers.
And Josie's career really has taken off. We're very proud of everything that's going on with her. So before I introduce Morgan, I want to recognize Tony McClara, sitting in the front row. She's going to heckle us. She's our project manager and a very important element of our team, but we wanted to make sure. Thank you for coming. Morgan.
She keeps the ship running smoothly. So I'm Morgan Metcalf. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I am John Merrill, our fearless leader's daughter. I specialize in mostly tenant representation in office and industrial. I also dabble in land, mostly because John makes me. But I also help run our office and make sure everybody has what they need and that we're always innovating, working alongside Tony. I got tricked into doing commercial real estate. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. John asked if I would join him as his marketing person almost 5 years ago. I said yes, even though I was a little hesitant to work for my family. But it's been a great journey. And I quickly learned, despite being an introvert, that I really love working with people. And next thing I knew, I had my own clients. So here we are.
I'm Matt Gray, and I joined Merrill Property Group 3 months ago. And I've been in commercial real estate for 25 years. I was a commercial appraiser for 5 and then worked at Marcus & Millichap as an analyst for 5 years. And then John Merrill hired me at CBRE to do retail investment sales in 2011. So it's got full circle. And at CB, I was partnered up. I had a partner and we did 125 strip center and single tenant net lease transactions for about 500 million in consideration. So pretty good experience and track record in that regard. And for the record, my favorite strip center is and always will be 116th Street Center at 116th and Guilford, because that was the first deal that I closed. I had $800 in my checking account. And it was 13 months into it. And then love it even more because we sold it for 5 million then, and then 5 years later sold it for 9.8 million, and then 5 years after that sold it for 11.8. So
That should be your
it
favorite.
is without a doubt.
Your honey pie.
Absolutely no doubt. I don't care.
So when are we listing it again?
5 years from now, maybe. Yes. Yeah, so no, but I'm excited to join the team here. It's a good fit. And I've always have had a great level of respect for John. And so I'm really happy to be in the position I'm in now.
Correct, Jake, cool.
I'm Jake Merrill. I have been with Merrill Property Group for 2 years. Previous to that, I was in car sales for 8 years, which aged me a lot. I'm the Nepo hire between me and Morgan. It's a joke for now. I'll earn my right. Right now, I am just an associate broker, so kind of a junior broker role. Mainly was doing research for the first year and a half, and now I'm more in the transaction side of it. Right now, doing tenant rep. Been doing a lot of industrial, not a big fan of that, but we're figuring it out, and land.
Great. And obviously John is not here. He is at a SIOR Society. Help me out, John Lyons, Society of Industrial Realtors. Yeah, thank you. So he couldn't join us. We figured it would take an entire team to fill his shoes, so.
He sends his regards.
Yeah, great. Let's start with land. Morgan and Haley, I ask you to kind of put your heads together. Give me a couple of things that make land listing and buying unique.
Yes, I'll start off. That's cool.
Absolutely.
So the first piece of listing land is figuring out what the highest and best use is, which is zoning, as we all know. So we could go in and say that we think this is a great spot for a strip center, but the municipality might have a different thing in mind. So something that our team does a little bit differently than a lot of commercial agents is we meet with the city, municipality, or at least have a call into them before we list a piece of land, because we want to know what the city wants there, which both benefits our seller and that we're not fighting and putting things under contract that are never going to happen. Also benefits the buyer because we're going out and finding the buyer that's the right use that the city wants. So that makes it pretty unique because it's not a one size fits all in land. And also just the creativity around listing land. There's a lot of proactive outreach. So it's kind of putting a puzzle together because some pieces of land, if it's a big tract, you might have retail on one piece, you might have office on another, multifamily, single family. It just depends. It's kind of the jack of all trades of listings.
Great.
Wonderful. Okay. Just to piggyback on kind of what Morgan was just saying, zoning is, in my opinion, number one. But drainage and utilities are also a huge part of it. And you may not think about that if you're in residential, which I did not until I ran into it later on. The environmental history on a property is extremely important as well to try and figure out what has happened in the past instead of getting under contract, finding it out later, wasting your client's money and time. And then also the valuation. So a lot of times what I've ran into in residential agents want to value it on other farm land. Well, that's what they would love to have, right? That price, the buyer. But in reality, if the value is much higher because it can be rezoned or it could be, say, material is on it. And someone like Martin Marietta, IMI, someone like that would like to purchase it. It increases the value significantly.
Good.
So.
And do not hesitate to raise your hand or ask questions as we go through. Please, we're going to keep this very informal. So next, any other items on that? I know environmental, my lesson learned was environmental typically would come through as you do your title search, et cetera, but IDEM does have records that you can go in and look at that'll give you a really good idea of if there are any current clouds on title, if you will. I guess not the appropriate term, but
You prompted something in my brain. Another big difference about land in our world is lead time. So it's usually not a 30-day to close contract with land. We often have to prep our sellers for a year-long due diligence process because generally if it's land, it's a developer purchasing it. So they want it rezoned to their use. They want to find out the utilities, get the utilities to the site if they're not there. They want to get all of their plans approved by the municipalities and they want to be able to break ground as soon as they close. So that's probably one of the bigger challenges when we list land is prepping our sellers for that heavy lead time because it is very different than like selling a residential property or even some of our tenant rep opportunities.
Yeah, we've had some experience with residential developers, right? I know that seems to be a pretty hot commodity right now. They're all looking for land.
Yes.
What does that feel like? And when you're working with a residential developer?
Yeah, so we like to have good relationships with a lot of the single family home developers because a lot of the bigger parcels that we list in the up and coming markets, especially in Johnson County, are a really good fit for single family homes. So generally, they're going to have a big lead time. As you know, they have to get their plans approved that the city likes and also all of the individual parcels done before they close. So we've worked recently with David Weekly Homes on a project on the south side. And we have close relationships historically with Lennar and some of the other big developers. Sounds like we need to build one with Abcon. Yes, Mark?
What's the minimum parcel size for the state?
That's a great question. They will tell you, bring us anything. Generally, they'll look at something as small as 10 acres for townhomes if it's in a walkable area. They generally, it depends on which home builder, but they generally like between 40 to 100 acres because they want to get as much bang for their buck. So they want to put as many houses in there with decent sized lots now. So.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the landlord listing. Josie, tell us a little bit about what that means and some of the top things you would do for a landlord if you were listing their property.
Yeah, when I'm representing a landlord, I like to focus on pricing and position in the market, tenant quality and lease structure. So, and also just looking at the landlord's overall long-term goals if they're planning to hold it and then get the rents up to market and then sell it. But it really comes down to getting good tenants and vetting those tenants and making sure that they fit well with other tenants in the building. And overall the structure of each lease and how that is positioned for a future potential sale.
Sure, you mentioned other tenants in the building. What type of work with the landlord would you conduct if you had like multiple listings or tenants that you were going to present to him?
What do you mean? Oh, with multiple tenants?
Yeah.
I'd say just looking at the overall economics of a deal, but really looking at the tenant and if it's a new business, looking at their making sure that they have a business plan in place and looking at financials. A deal might look good upfront, like a higher rent, but you have to look at risk as well and make sure that the overall lease structure aligns with the property and the landlord's goals.
Sure. And when she says lease structure, triple net is when you pile all expenses into the tenant's pocket. They have to pay for everything. And there's typically a charge by the landlord. Modified gross can be anything you want to make it, where tenant pays electric and everything else will be paid by the landlord, and then full service is what they call a base year. So first year of operating expenses are paid for, but any increases in subsequent years, the tenant would be responsible for their share of that with all the other tenants in the building. So it's a lot to review with the landlord to make sure they understand it. Josie and I've run into some situations where it was all language that they didn't understand. They look at us like they look at us like aliens when we start bringing these things up.
Yeah, some landlords that maybe it's their first property, they're not familiar with that terminology, but that's why you hire us and the experts, and we can help decide what lease structure would be the best fit.
Yep, great. Matt, let's talk a little bit about investment sales. I forget what I was going to ask you on this.
Referral opportunities for residential.
Exactly.
Well, the most obvious is if you know someone that owns a strip center. I have the capability to list it and sell it. And my approach is you can never get involved in that process too early. Well, I've had listings that I have done annual updates for 6 or 7 years before they ultimately decided to pull the trigger. And so it's really an advisory position to them that even if you're not interested in selling it now, it's good to have an understanding of what the value is. From a more creative standpoint, I went back and thought about transactions that I had worked on in the past that would be relative to a residential agent. And one of them, I had a couple transactions where if you have a client that is a single family residential investor, there is a good possibility, and it had a couple of different occasions where they transitioned to wanting to have a more of a commercial position. Stewart Place, for instance, on Range Line, the gentleman that bought that, this was several years ago now, but he's local and he had 40 houses and sold half the houses, wanted to stay in single family, but then also diversify his income stream with the commercial properties. Similar for Oleo Pavilion at 116th and Oleo, there was a gentleman out of Houston that had like 100 houses and ended up taking that out. So there is more crossover than you might think, and there is a synergy to it as well, I think. So if you have a client that would be interested in doing that from an acquisition standpoint, it could certainly help you out. I love looking at deals, and I love to find a reason to say no. And because I think that risk analysis is the most critical component of anything when you're looking at an income producing property. But then, also if you have a relationship with a small business owner or a tenant in a building, there's an opportunity there as well. I worked on 71st and Graham. There's a 10,000 square foot strip center there in the northeast corner, and it was a distressed asset debt wise. The tenant actually bought it. And if you have the capital to do it, it is a really good strategy because your principal and interest is lower than what your rent payment is. And then you can subsidize with leasing out the additional space. And I do think I have a tendency to be a little bit of a contrarian, but I think that we're gonna see an issue with distressed debt on the commercial side. It's popping up now. There was a massive amount of debt that was originated between 2016 and 2021 that is coming due now. And so that's an opportunity. If you have a relationship with someone like that, it's worth bringing it up because it was actually the Lucky Dog Retreat is the tenant now. They're still there. She was able to purchase that at a discount that just absolutely made sense and was a fantastic deal for her. One of the other scenarios from a creative standpoint, and Jeff and I had met with somebody, is sale leasebacks. Small business owner, if they have, I want to see a minimum of probably 10 million in revenue. But there is a strategic opportunity there for either making your balance sheet healthier or expanding your business to monetize the real estate that you own through a sale leaseback. And specifically medical, dental, light manufacturing, and warehouse, small distribution type spaces, there's a significant demand for that. And it's from a strategic standpoint, it's really good because they can get their balance sheet looking good, or they free up the capital and can make a significantly greater return on the expansion of their business. And also, just high net worth individuals in general groups looking to diversify their capital allocation, to pick up hard assets versus stocks and bonds.
Yeah, I'd like to add the tenant or the owner that wanted to do the sale leaseback. After Matt did his analysis, we came up with a number, but the more we talked with him, we realized he was probably 2 to 3 years away from wanting to sell his business as well. And so Matt just laid it on the table. He said, I don't think you should do anything right now. And we walked away from it. And I know that we'll be calling him back, obviously, but he'll be calling us back if anything changes in that scenario, as well as any referrals he might get. So we told him an answer that was more about him than just doing a transaction. So tell me a little bit about why retail is unique compared to office and industrial as far as investment.
There's more of it, for one. And I think that from a psychological standpoint, you have a lot of, but there's more exposure. Everybody knows what Starbucks and Jimmy John's and Walgreens is. And so it's a vehicle for high net worth individuals to park their cash a lot of the times. Retail, they're all, I personally, my favorite asset class specifically is light manufacturing and warehouse. Construction costs on retail they're really high, and it makes it very difficult for deals to work, and it makes sense now. The rent that you have to get for them just is like, it's hard to swallow, $45-50 a square foot. But yeah, office with COVID, I have not really worked on office a whole lot. John was the institutional king of the Midwest for several years.
Yeah.
I honestly stay away from it. Well, yeah, it's tough.
Right.
And I think that just from, the hybrid and work from home, that's still evolving. And it's going to continue to do so.
Sure.
And I really like the warehouse small bay industrial space because they call it flex space for a reason. We're seeing last mile type distribution, Shopify, Amazon resellers are successful in those type of spaces. They're more affordable. A lot of the times you can get the same level of visibility that you can from a traditional retail property. But yeah, it's
and to point out, the smaller spaces like that are really hard to find.
They are.
You find somebody that has a
Yes.
small business and they want 15 to 2,500 square feet. Man, it's hard.
Finding a 3,000 square foot warehouse space right now is incredibly difficult.
And you would wonder why investors wouldn't build more of that type
Yeah.
of space. We're working a little bit with Rise Community, and they specialize in that. They provide very first class front of office in a building where you got conference room, offices, et cetera. It could be right. And then you truly have just a warehouse where everything else is kept, and they're expanding exponentially. They're really have a successful model. So speaking of office and difficulties, Morgan, tell us a little bit about what tenant representation feels like.
Well, first of all, I think office is coming back, so. Yeah, so tenant representation is really fun. It's typically a quicker deal cycle, but sometimes it's not. It's creative, from like a design standpoint, which I love, and working with businesses to find new office space. It's a good time to be a tenant in office. There are a lot of options and landlords are hungry for new tenants.
What's been your largest tenant representation and how did it come about?
Yes, so 2 years ago, John and I worked on a 56,000 square foot office tenant representation opportunity downtown. We put Calumet Specialty Products in the Stutz building. We spent a little over a year with them from start to finish, getting their plans and what they were looking for. They had a committee of people, so we had to get a little creative to make sure the personalities in the room were not overshadowing what they actually needed. So we created a survey process. We did surveys for every tour that we did. That way we could let the data dictate where they actually needed to be and not what the CEO or somebody important in that wanted to do. So that actually came from a residential referral. So here's my plug. We don't just accept referrals that are, sales transactions. Tenant representation from a referral standpoint can be very lucrative for you all. And it doesn't have to be a CEO president relationship to refer them to us. This particular transaction came from an office manager. So she was the executive assistant to the CEO of that company. And he said, go find somebody to help us. And she reached out to actually not Keller Williams, Mark Deedle Realty. And they said, hey, we don't do this, but talk to the Merrill team. So we had to interview for it. We went up against Cushman and Wakefield as well as CBRE, and they were a national account for CBRE, but we clicked with them. And John's mentor once told him, if you want a job, start doing it. So we came with a full comprehensive search to our initial meeting to say, this is what we can do for you. And our personalities just clicked and it was off to the races for us. And they're still a client today. We're starting to work with them nationally on some of their industrial requirements.
And that deal was written up in the IBJ.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was super close to winning a commercial award that year, but there was a bigger one than us, unfortunately. But honestly, our our tenant rep referrals are some of our best opportunities, and I love cutting those referral checks and surprising people. Megan just referred a law firm this past year. We closed that, and I'll be excited to write her a 5-figure referral check as soon as we get paid, which is supposed to be any day now. So it can be super lucrative. I'm super excited. But all you really have to do if you have a client that you're working with, I mean, you generally know what they do for a living because you're getting to know them. Even if they're an office manager or just a employee in a company, ask them the question, are you guys planning to make a move soon? Or is your lease coming up? And they might not know, but they'll know who to ask. And if you give them our name, like we can do the digging and find out all the details they need to know, because we can even help them if they want to stay put. Making sure that their landlord's being honest and giving them the right terms. And if they want to do some cool finishes like this to modernize their office, we can help build that into a deal.
Great.
Yeah.
As we wind down, I wanted to talk a little bit with Jake and Haley about, because they're both kind of new to commercial. So Jake, why don't we start with you and talk about what your adventure has been like, moving into a commercial role from car sales? Quite the unique venture.
First off, working for my dad is interesting. Just because it's like learning, drinking from a fire hose, learning from him, because he looks up here and I'm down here. But with car sales, I mean, spending 4 or 5 hours with a client was a lot. And now we're spending, I mean, I'm on month 3 with current tenant rep, so it's a lot different. Just because there's the validation of constantly getting a sale done, because I'd sell about 20 cars a month. Now I'm on like 3 deals that we have signed
Yeah,
in 2 years.
As I told Jake, 3 months with a client is pretty short term.
It is.
Sometimes.
Well, and we had one that was a month, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. Yeah. But that's the biggest thing. And then obviously learning the different types of buildings, because with cars, you have each brand has their different models, and with buildings, that's not the case. There's a million different variations of buildings. It could be industrial, retail, office building like this, and there's not 2 that are the same. If there are, then it's Penmark 1 and Penmark 2.
They're not the same either.
They're not the same. See what I'm saying? But that's the biggest thing. And then obviously learning the different systems with commercial real estate. There's 5 different platforms to do a search on, and people post things on the different ones. So just trying to figure out and navigate that and be able to relay that to a client has been a challenge. And then obviously everything that we've talked about today about just different deal types and what you have to deal with on the different deals.
Sure.
But that's my biggest journey,
Yeah.
really.
Well, Haley just came over from the dark side, so we thought it would be good to have her.
No, so again, yes, I started in residential and it's totally different. And I thought it would be a smooth transition, easy, but it is not. It's night and day. You definitely learn that the hard way with anything in life.
Well, one example of what is night and day.
Example, like the longest I ever had a residential listing was probably 8 months. And if it closed, if not, it expires, but 8 months is pretty much like your starting point in commercial. So, you just have to kind of get used to that shift. Also working 24/7, all of you residential agents understand, you pick up the phone after 5, you work on Sundays, you do open houses on Saturday and Sundays, and commercial, we don't, we kind of shut off right at 5 or 6, and you don't work on weekends. You're not expected to get a reply after hours or on your off days, which was interesting for me to kind of shift into. And also picking up the phone and making those cold calls to your potential client, buyer or seller, versus it's so important to go and meet with vendors and business owners and people that will get you connected within the community. So whether that's the round tables or whatever it is.
Okay, that's the end of our formal presentation. How about questions? Any questions? We're running right on time, so that's a good thing.
Give you a word to describe.
Oh yeah. Well, if there's no questions, I will throw out this toss up.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was just curious, like unique, there's a lot of storage units being built. There's a community, Montgomery County, I think, it's going to 25 lots, and they're big lots residential, but you're required to have a big pole barn for storing RVs. So like, are you seeing more of that come in today's world versus maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Well, I was just gonna say, part of what working with the community right up front, I have a client right now that wants to sell his property and he's in an agri-hood zone for the comp plan for Westfield. So I'm meeting with them to help me understand what agri-hood means. So that's a good example, but I think it comes back to that, right? Matt, have you seen
Yeah, I
anything
think it
specifically?
really, community relationship and their desire for it, like the down south, was looking at a piece of land and they are anti self-storage. They want to have something there's going to be employees there and it generates business and it's just not empty warehouse doing nothing. And so you see a lot of resistance from a community standpoint. So there's kind of a push and a pull because there's a massive amount of demand for it. People have a lot of stuff, but at the same time, from a land use perspective, the local municipalities are they're showing more resistance, I feel like. At least the ones that I've dealt with.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, with the tax caps, the way they are, the new tax laws, cities are having to build residential communities in such high density because of the 1% cap. They just can't afford the changes. And what you were talking about was the 3% cap, where you've actually got commercial business, not just leasing. So, Morgan, you were going to say something as well?
I don't know if I was or I wasn't. Mom brain.
Okay.
Yeah, I will just say it's really driven by what the municipalities want and who they're trying to attract. So in our Donut County, Marion County, all of our different cities are doing different things in reaction to the new state laws and how they want to navigate budget cuts and all of those things. So it doesn't surprise me. You said it's like a residential community with big pole barns and things.
Yeah.
So that might be their solution to try to beautify their city, even though pole barns aren't necessarily sexy. Neither are having RVs sitting out in everybody's lawn. So it could be their solution to minimize self-storage. It could be their solution to minimize their industrial warehousing and things like that.
And I know you mentioned it. Oh, no.
How can we refer you? Who should we be reaching out to? Like, where's the email or contact? 'Cause I know you've got
MPG admin, is that the best?
info@merrillpropertygroup.com. If you send details to that, we will get it to the right person so we can respond quickly. You're also always welcome to call myself. I can give you my phone number or Tony's. We've got a company phone technically that Jake answers, and Jake tends to vet a lot of our leads. So he's usually the first point of contact when it comes to somebody that we need to see if we're a good fit to help them or not. Yeah.
What's that number?
Jake?
7440174. Let me double check that.
You said 317.
Yes.
It just rings to Jake's phone, so we don't need
It
to
goes
call
directly
it.
to my phone, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right, we'll circle back.
We're ready to wind down. Morgan mentioned that my toss-up question was name one word that describes commercial real estate to you. So Morgan, I'll let you start with that.
I'll start. The biggest word I came up with is patience. Our deals can take a month, they can take 18 months, they can take 4 years. It just depends. It's patience with your client when they're freaking out. It's patience with yourself when you feel like you could give it one more push and maybe you're trying not to do too much, but you're also trying to do everything. And it's patience with the market because the market's been crazy for the last few years. I know both in your world and in ours has been very much like this. So my word is patience.
Right.
Yeah.
Running out of time. Anybody else have a word that they want to?
I forgot to, but I would say diligence.
Okay. Obviously,
Because
investment.
the more deals you do, the more crazy stuff you see. And if you sit back on your heels, you will be pleasantly surprised by how crazy things can happen.
Sure. Haley, what'd you say?
That grit. Just making sure that you don't give up and you stick to it, like you said. Any transaction can throw a wrench in and you just have to figure it out and navigate, so stick it with the phone number.
Yeah, it's 317-444-1774.
You'd think we would remember that.
I know. It's not cell phone, sorry.
But that goes to show you we need more referrals, so it's more, used to giving that number out. Josie or Jake went away. Josie, you have a word for us?
I'd say relationships are crucial in this. I mean, in what you all do in residential and also commercial, relationship with vendors and making sure that we have good vendors that we can refer to our clients, because they lean on us for our expertise in connecting them with vendors. But really, my biggest book of business is just repeat clients and referrals, because I, at the end of the day, will do what's right for my clients and put their interests first.
That's great. Jake, do you have a word for us?
Organization, staying organized. It feels like a lot of deals need certain aspects to go right and other aspects to just be right in place. So just having all that organized, and it's a lot more organized than car sales. So
Great.
yeah.
All right. All right. We'll give you 4 minutes of your life back. Thank you all so much for having us.
Together.
And there's lunch in the cafeteria, you know, sorry.
Back there.
Yeah.
You're natural. Said you're supposed to, you're supposed to occur. Yeah.
I